Today we will be going over factoring trinomials, and we are going to be looking at when a is greater than 1. So, learning goal. Students will be able to factor a trinomial when a is greater than 1, meaning the first coefficient is not 1, okay? So, steps for factoring trinomials, f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c when a is greater than 1. So the first step, you guys, we're going to copy the first 3 steps for factoring trinomials when a is equals to 1. So that's pretty much like the x method, a times c up top, b on the bottom, right? What 2 things multiply to the top, that gives you the bottom. So that's all those steps. Okay, step number 2, we're going to replace the middle term, which is the bx, with the sum of the 2 numbers that we just found from the x method. Add x variables to the 2 numbers. Step 3, we're going to factor by using the grouping. Factor by using the grouping method. Which is divide into two groups, then factor out the GCF of each group. If there's no GCF, then you guys factor out A1. Next, step 4, you factor out the binomial GCF so that your final answer will look like a factor times a factor. So we're going to take a look at some of these examples so that you guys get more comfortable with, you see some modeling and then you go try it out for yourself. So we're going to take a look at example 1. Now example 1, you guys, follow the steps, right? In step 1, it says, do how you guys do for factoring out. So I make my x, right? Actually, I'll put this over to the side so we have more room. Now remember, I'm going to write down all our coefficients just so that you guys remember. The top is a times c, and the bottom is b. A times c is 5 times 7 for 35, and on the bottom it's 12. Now remember, you have to think what 2 numbers multiply together give you the top, but when we add it, gives you guys the bottom. Well, the only combination would be if it's 5 and 7. Now, like normally, if this was a is equals to 1, then your guys' factors would be x plus 5 times x plus 7, right? But everyone, take a look at our a value. Isn't our a value greater than 1, right? It's not equals to 1, it's greater than 1. So when it's greater than 1, then that means you have to do the factoring for a is greater than 1. And these are the new steps that we are going to be following, right? So, right here, you guys, it says replace the middle term, which is the bx, with the sum of the 2 numbers. Add x variables to the 2 numbers. So, this is our bx, right? So we're going to split that off into the 2 numbers that we just found. So, watch, you guys. 5x squared, coming from here, right? We're going to split this off into 2 numbers. The 5, so plus 5x, and then the 7, plus 7x. See, you guys? 5x plus 7x is this one, right? 12x. And then we're going to add the plus 7 coming from here. Now, following the steps, right, we make it into 2 groups. This is one group, and this is one group. And then you guys factor out the GCF of each group. So what's the greatest common factor here? A 5 and an x. And if you guys factor out a 5x from this one and this one, we're going to get an x plus a 1. Okay, now what's the greatest common factor out from that group, right? You can divide a 7 into both. So factoring out a 7, x plus 1. Okay, now I think our third step, nope, our fourth step is, you guys, you gotta factor out the binomial GCF. The binomial GCF is the one that has two terms that they have in common. So do you guys recognize, after we factored out the GCF from the grouping, do you guys see how this one and this one are the same? And since they are the same, you guys can factor out both of these out from this equation. You guys can bring out both the binomial GCFs out. So if you guys take out the x plus 1s from the equation, we're going to get x plus 1, because we took away those, right? We took away both of those, you guys. So what's left over? 5x plus 7. And there are your two factors. X plus 1 times 5x plus 7. So it's just a little bit more additional steps on top of factoring a is equals to 1. But again, you gotta know how to factor your GCF really well, and that's pretty much the additional steps. Okay, but we'll look at example B. Now, before I start, notice, you guys, you can factor out the GCF. There's a common number you can divide into 4, 22, and 24, right? And it's 2. So you guys can factor out a 2 first, and then we have divide each one by 2, right? 4 divided by 2, 2x squared. 22 divided by 2, 11x. 24 divided by 2, 12. Now, same thing, right? Focus up on inside the parentheses. A is equals to 2, B is equal to 11, C is equal to 12, right? Now we do our factoring. A times C up top, B on the bottom, so that's 24 and 11. The two numbers that multiply to the top, but when added gives you guys the bottom, that is 3 and 8. And again, notice, everybody, the A value is greater than 1. And if that's the case, then you guys have to do the additional steps of factoring by grouping. So we're looking at here, right? 2x squared. Remember, this middle term, we're going to split it off into these that we just found. Plus 3x coming from here, and then plus 8x coming from here, and then plus 12 coming from here. Now, we split them off, right? We group them, everybody. So this is a grouping, this is a grouping. And now, you guys factor out the GCF from this group and from this group. Okay, right here, everybody, you can factor out 1x out from both. 2x, right? If we factor out an x, you guys, you're taking away an x from both. So we just have 2x plus 3. Okay, over here, you guys, you can factor out a 4 from both 8 and 12. So if we factor out a 4, 8 divided by 4, you guys, is 2. So 2x. 12 divided by 4, you guys, is 3. Now look, they both have a common binomial GCF. So we can take away both the 2x plus 3 and this 2x plus 3, right? They both share that. So we factor out a 2x plus 3 out from both, but then if you guys look, what's left over? Oh, x plus 4. And that will be your guys's factors. And of course, always write down how you guys feel about something, right? You either say 1 if you don't understand, right? Or 5 if you guys completely understand. So, let's go down here. these ones you guys try out for yourself, so I would suggest pause the video, see how much you could do, and then play the video to look at the rest, okay? Alright, so let's look at A. Our A value is 3, our B value is 8, our C value is 4, right? There is nothing I could factor out from all of them, so we're just going to go into our X method. A times C up top, B on the bottom. A times C, you guys, is 12. Our B value is 8. Two numbers that multiply to 12, but when you add it, gives you guys 8. That is 6 and 2. And look, everybody, A is greater than 1, which means you guys have to factor by grouping. So write down the first term. The middle term breaks off into the two numbers we just found, so 6x, 2x, and don't forget the last term, plus 4. We're going to split this off into 2. So now, you guys, what is the greatest common factor you can pull out from this group? A 3 and an x. 3 divided by 3 is 1. You took away an x from there, so just an x. 6 divided by 3 is 2, and we took away its x away, so no more x. So it's just x plus 2. The second grouping, this grouping, you guys, you can factor out a 2. So divide each one by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1x. 4 divided by 2, 2. And then look, they both have the same binomial GCF. So factor away those two, you guys. So we're going to have x plus 2, and then the leftovers, 3x plus 2. And again, rate yourself, right? B. A is equal to 2, B is equal to 9, C is equal to 10. You do the X method, right? There is no GCF we can factor off initially. A times C up top, B on the bottom. Our A times C, 2 times 10 is 20. Our B value is 9. Two numbers that multiply to 20, but added together give you 9. That is 4 and 5. And everyone, A is greater than 1. The leading coefficient, you guys, is greater than 1, which means you have to factor by grouping. So, write down the first term, 2x squared. Split this middle term into the two numbers we just found. Plus 4x, plus 5x. And don't forget the last term, plus 10. Group them. Okay. Factor out the GCF from this group. We can factor out a 2x to get x plus 2. Factor out the GCF from here, which is 5. Divide each one by 5. X plus 2. We can factor out an x plus 2 from each. So x plus 2. And then what are the leftovers? The 2x and the plus 5. Okay. And then you guys rate yourself. Okay, part C. Okay, part C. So there is a number you guys can factor out from each, and that number is 3. So we can factor out the greatest common factor from each. So if we took out a 3 from each, you guys, you divide each number by 3. 15 divided by 3, 5x squared. 33 divided by 3, 11x. 6 divided by 3, 2. And now we can do our X method. So A equals 5, B equals 11, C equals 2. On the top we have A times C. Ooh, let me go back to this. I forgot. I would have got partial credit for this, you guys, because remember when we factored out the 2 in the very beginning? We had to put this back here. I forgot. I just remembered for this problem. So that should have had a 2 in the front as well. but we'll focus up on this one. Okay, sorry. A times C on the top, B on the bottom. 5 times 2, you guys, is 10. B is 11. Two numbers that multiply to the top, but then add together give you the bottom. That's 10 and 1. Again, your A value is greater than 1. So we're going to factor by the grouping method to finish this off. Again, write down the first term, 5x squared. This 11x splits off into 10 and 1. So plus 10x plus 1x, which is just x, you guys. And then don't forget the plus 2. Now, we're going to group these. The GCF, the greatest common factor you can factor out from 5x squared plus 10x, you guys, is 5x. X plus 2. The greatest, now, for that one, you guys, right, there is no number that divides into 1 and 2, and there is no x you can factor out. So if there's no GCF, then the only thing you guys can factor out is a 1. Now look, they both have the same binomial. So you can factor out binomial from both, you guys, right? So if you guys take these both away, what's left over? The 5x plus the 1. Now, this is where I made the error up top. Remember the 3 we factored out in the very beginning? You have to remember to bring that over to also put in the front. So, continue to rate yourself, you guys, and on the bottom, just write a nice, clean summary of your guys's, what you guys remembered from this lesson. What is something that you can take away from this lesson, like a one true fact about, so that it helps you guys to remember what you learned for today. So, that is it. Hopefully you guys this lecture. Always let me know on how I can improve on these, okay? Alright, good job. Good luck on your homework.